ready for this deep dive because today we're flipping the script. We're going to talk about why you shouldn't stress about perfect English speaking. Wild right.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of what you usually hear. But stick with us. This is going to change how you think about learning to speak English.
This deep dive is especially for anyone who's ever felt that pressure to speak perfectly. We're looking at a podcast script about speaking anxiety, and it's packed with cool insights about why we clam up when we try too hard.
When we get fixated on speaking flawlessly, our brains can literally go into fight or flight mode.
Oh, like it's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, our survival instincts kick in, even though it's just language.
That explains why I totally blank every time I try to order a coffee in Italian. Like my brain just goes, error, error.
Exactly. And it's not just you. This fight or flight response triggers all kinds of changes. Your heart races, your breathing gets all messed up, your muscles tense up. It's no wonder it's hard to think straight and speak smoothly.
Our bodies are like, nope, too much pressure, abort mission.
Exactly. So the script argues that instead of obsessing over perfect English, we should shift our focus. Like, think bigger picture. It's about communication, right? You can communicate really well, even if your English isn't totally perfect.
That's so true. I know people who understand and read English like pros, but ask them to speak and they totally freeze.
And that's where this script's message really shines. It's a good reminder that language is a complex thing. You can be good at it in lots of different ways. You might be a great listener, or maybe you can read complicated stuff, or you're an awesome writer.
So if speaking isn't your strongest point right now, don't sweat it. Just focus on your other skills.
And here's the amazing part. As you get better at understanding English overall, your speaking will get better too, naturally. And the script has some really practical tips for improving your English without stressing over speaking right away.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are these tips?
Well, one of the best techniques is something you're doing right now, active listening. When you really pay attention to spoken English, you're soaking up vocabulary, grammar, even pronunciation. You're not even aware of it.
Whoa. It's like our brains are secretly becoming English masters in the background.
Exactly. The script even gives specific ways to make your listening more active. You could try something called shadowing. That's where you listen to something and then repeat it. Try to match the speaker as closely as you can.
Ooh, I've heard of that.
Yeah. And you can also focus in on certain parts of pronunciation, like how the speaker's voice goes up and down, or where they put the stress in a word.
Cool. I've tried shadowing before. It does help you catch the little things about pronunciation.
Another great tip from the script is thinking in English. Now, this might sound a little weird at first.
So instead of translating everything in my head, I should try to think in English directly.
Yep. You can start small. Like just describe what you're doing throughout the day in your head. Or imagine conversations you might have. Or even just let your mind wander in English.
Wow. Daydreaming in English. Never thought of that. It's like giving your brain a mini English workout without the pressure.
Exactly. When you internalize the language this way, speaking starts to feel much less scary. It's like you've already rehearsed the conversations in your head.
Okay, so we've totally busted that myth of having to speak perfect English, and we've learned about the power of listening and thinking in English.
Right. And we talked about how important it is to take baby steps, practice those low-stress conversations. It really helps build confidence.
So now the script takes it even further. It says we should embrace those little stumbles and fumbles along the way.
Mistakes are not failures. They're actually chances to learn.
Yeah, it's like the script is saying, go ahead, trip up, make a mistake. It's all part of the process.
Exactly. The script even calls mistakes your best friend when you're learning a language.
That's a really cool way to think about it. Instead of getting all bummed out, we should see mistakes like signposts. They're showing us the right way to go.
And there's actually a scientific reason for that. When we make a mistake, our brains, they kind of take note. They strengthen the connections in our brain that are involved with that specific language thing.
Like our brains are going, okay, I messed that up. I better pay more attention next time.
Exactly. Mistakes help us see where we need to focus so we can learn better and faster.
And the best part, most people are super understanding when it comes to language learners.
That's true. Native English speakers, they're usually impressed when someone tries hard to learn their language.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. People are usually very patient and encouraging, even when I'm, struggling to find the right words.
It's because they get it. It takes a lot of courage to step out of your comfort zone and talk in a language that's not your own.
You're right, it does take guts. And I think most people admire that.
So the script ties all this together by saying that when you listen, think, and practice in chill settings, your speaking skills will naturally improve.
It's like a ripple effect. You focus on understanding and consistency, and fluency just kind of pops up.
The script actually compares language learning to a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, I like that. It's a journey, not a race.
Exactly. Just keep putting in effort, stay positive, and you'll eventually reach the finish line.
You know, this reminds me of a friend of mine. She was totally terrified to speak English at first.
Oh, wow.
But she didn't let that fear control her. She decided to work on her listening first.
Smart.
And after a few months of really immersing herself, it was like something clicked. She just started speaking so much better.
Wow, that's amazing. A perfect example of how focusing on comprehension can unlock speaking confidence.
It shows that when you take the pressure off trying to be perfect, you
Yeah.
can actually speak more naturally and expressively.
Exactly. The script ends by saying we should embrace the whole experience. The awkward moments, the times when we speak fluently, it's all part of it.
Yeah. Celebrate every win, big or small, and enjoy the process.
It's about finding the joy in communication itself, not obsessing over perfection.
So we're back. And we've been talking about ditching that speaking anxiety and finding a more relaxed way to learn English.
Yeah, lots of cool ideas.
And right before we took a little pause, we left you with a challenge, remember?
Yeah, to find one small thing you can do today to practice English. Something easy and stress-free.
So what did you come up with?
Well, I think for me, it's all about sneaking English into my day. Like just little things.
Oh, I like that. Give me an example.
Okay, like changing my phone's language to English.
That's a good one. I bet you learn new words just using your apps.
Oh, yeah. Or even just listening to an English podcast while I'm doing, chores around the house.
Right. There are so many ways to get that English exposure without making it a big study session.
Totally. And those little things add up over time. Consistency is key.
And then one day, bam, you're more confident and fluent without even realizing it.
Speaking of confidence, it's important to remember that those first steps can feel, well, scary.
Especially if you have that speaking anxiety.
Right. Yeah, it's normal to feel a little hesitant, but everyone has to start somewhere.
Don't worry about being perfect, just start.
Even if you're just like whispering phrases to yourself in the shower, hey, it's still progress.
Love it. Every little bit counts.
And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll become.
And then one day, you'll be having conversations you never thought you could. It's amazing.
This script really highlights that language learning is a journey. It's not about reaching some destination.
That's about the whole experience, the good, the bad, the in-between.
Yeah, embrace it all. Enjoy the stumbles. Celebrate the wins.
It's about connecting with people, having fun,
Yeah.
not being perfect.
Exactly.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into this awesome script. Thanks for joining us.
Keep practicing, keep connecting, and most importantly, believe in yourself.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of language learning.
Until next time, keep practicing and stay confident.